This message comes from Capital One Commercial Bank. Your business requires commercial banking solutions that prioritize your long-term success. With Capital One, get a full suite of financial products and services tailored to meet your needs today and goals for tomorrow. Learn more at CapitalOne.com/commercial. Member FDIC. This message is brought to you by the Capital One Venture X card. Venture X offers the premium benefits you expect, like a $300 annual Capital One travel credit for less than you expect. Elevate your earn with unlimited double miles on every purchase, bringing you one step closer to your next dream destination. Plus, enjoy access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. The Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is Talkin' Rock. Talkin' Rock. Your backstage pass to some of your favorite rock artists. Here's your host, Meltdown.
Hey, thanks so much for checking out the podcast as we have a couple great guests. First of all, Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills is going to be up here in a few minutes. He was in town a couple weeks ago here in Detroit as Astronomicon took place. You know, Spencer from Ice Nine Kills. We'll talk a lot about horror movies because that's kind of my thing. But first, we're going to talk with Peter Criss, of course, legendary drummer of Kiss. He's got a new solo record out. And this weekend, as I record this, he's going to be signing autographs, signing copies of his album, and signing Kiss paraphernalia at Rock City Music Company in Livonia. And Nick Morocco is here with me, and you got Peter Criss to come into Detroit Rock City.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. It's been a lifelong dream of mine, and I was able to make it happen.
Now, as we record this right now, have you met Peter yet?
I have met him a few years ago, but
okay.
I have not met him in Detroit.
Okay. All right. So where'd you meet him at?
London, Ontario.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not too far from here, about 3 hours or so. So I saw that he's been doing things here and there, like Comic-Cons and different things. So what got the wheels rolling to bring Peter to Detroit Rock City for the first time since, 2000 or 2003? What was
2003.
Yeah, and that was the Aerosmith tour?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, Peter had put out this solo album. It was his first one since 2007. And, we do a lot of signings, album signings, book signings, and things like that. And Peter was at the top of my list of somebody to celebrate and bring back to Detroit. So I pitched to his record label, and then they put me in touch with GiGi, and she made it all happen.
And so that's going to be happening, like I said, this Friday and Saturday as I record this, April 24th and 25th. So if you're listening after, well, I guess you missed out. But this thing is pretty much sold out. So there'll be people there all day on Friday and Saturday. And from all accounts, I've never met Peter, but from all accounts, he's a super good dude. And he's really looking forward to getting back here to Detroit Rock City. And once again, he's been kind of touring and checking out the city because he never had a chance to when he was here with Kiss.
Yes.
So, by the way, I'm kind of disappointed you didn't wear your Kiss makeup, but
well, I wanted to keep the fandom at a minimum, at least until I make a good impression.
Yeah, then you can show them your tattoo of Peter Criss on your arm. So
yes.
All right. Well, Nick, thanks a lot for everything. I appreciate you. Let's talk to Peter, shall we?
Sounds great, man.
Well, Peter, great to meet you, man. It's a privilege. I've never had a chance to meet or talk to you before, so thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, man. It's good to be back in Motor City.
Yeah, and you're going to be heading up earlier today as I record this to Motown, and the only time I was
ever
on
the air now?
Yeah, we're talking right now. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
I thought the headphones were.
No, that's cool. I'm used to. I don't need them as long as I know we're talking.
Yeah, right.
That's all important.
The only time I ever went to, I've been in this town for 30 years. The only time I ever went there was with Charlie Benante, one of your friends there.
Okay.
And Charlie knew more about Motown than I thought he would.
Yeah, well, in my earlier days when I was a younger guy, and growing up in Brooklyn, the only sound back then before the Beatles hit the scene was just kind of bands that played instrumentals. But then Motown came in, and I fell in love with it. My voice was a lot raspier back then when I was younger. And I put a band together called The Sounds of Soul, and we did nothing but Motown music. And I still love it. It's great music.
As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think in one of the first few lines of the new record, you mentioned Motown.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I did. I wanted to throw some lyrics in about it.
Yeah, and the new record is out right now, like you just mentioned. And man, the thing that struck me when listening to it is just the diversity of it, and also some nods to your days in Kiss and your history, of course. But tell me about the diversity of the record. You got the background singers, you got all sorts of players on it. John Five, Billy Sheehan. Piggy D. You got a lot of great guys on there.
Paul Schaefer.
Yeah, Paul Schaefer. That's right. Yeah.
Paul and I go back 55 years. We've been friends easily 55 years. I was very close to John Belushi. And so when they did the Saturday Night Live, the original with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd and them, I used to love the band. And I asked John, can I meet the band? I'd like to meet the piano player especially. And I got to meet Paul. And ever since then, we are extremely close friends. And when I came up with the album, I called him and I said, hey, Paul, I'd like you to play a B3 on a couple of songs and play a Baby Grand. And he goes, come on over to the house. I laid the tracks down in my house. And 3 times got each song boom, bang, boom. He's such a brilliant musician. And putting the album together, what happened was I started a while ago, and COVID came, and I was locked in the house. My wife wouldn't let me out. And I went down to my studio, because I got a studio, and I played it, the original, before Billy and all of those guys got on it. And I listened to it, and I went, this has really got some cool stuff. So through the years, I like to write songs like little movies, like little stories. If you listen to most of my stuff, I think they kind of mean something. So as the years went by, I have a little magic book I keep next to my bed for everything. And I was watching how the world has changed, and I don't think for the better personally, but it has changed. And I've watched the horror in a lot of ways with the drugs and the gangs and the drive, just the political crap, which I'm really not a political guy, but I got a little political on here. And so I had notes of all different kinds of stories and things that annoyed me from watching the news or watching a great movie. I got off on it or something, so I would make notes. And so when I listened to the songs, I went, these are perfect now for those lyrics I've been writing through all the years about being upset about of a drive-by shooting and some poor families watching TV and their infant gets shot in the head with a 45 for no damn reason.
Right.
Really upset me and bring me to tears because I'm a father. And I wound up, writing Murder and about that, of how bad gangs, and it's all over money. And then other songs when I wrote about For the Money was another song I wrote. The world is all about money, man, and it really upsets me because we all need it. You got to have it. But for a lot of the reasons that people make it, it's one of the 7 deadly sins. I'm a really Christian Catholic kid, and I find it's wrong that people, reality, I hate reality shows. I can't believe people will sell their souls just to make a few bucks and running around naked in a jungle with spiders and snakes. And,
yeah, right.
And so I would write about that, and then I would write, I got a thing about with justice, and I looked at the statue one day, and she's blind, has a sword, and I thought about the O.J. trial and the Robert Blake trial and Phil Spector, who I'm a huge fan of, how I think he got railroaded. And that turned me on to write about how justice is blind on that song. So each song has a different meaning, and what I liked about it, each song has something different. It's not your typical kind of like Kiss album or whatever, where everything kind of goes along the same railroad track.
Right.
It kind of varies off the track and goes back on the track here. And then I wrote some good old rock and roll stuff, like back in the day with like Jerry Lee Lewis stuff I loved. And so I thought, I'm going to put hand claps back on, and I'm going to get backup singers back in the day. And which I did on my original album, Peter Criss. I used backup singers and claps. And then I got the idea of the car driving by with guns going off and car chases from the great Bob Ezrin when we did Destroyer. When it opens up, you hear a car door open, if you remember, and he gets in the car and he's fiddling with the radio and it comes on. So I stole that idea, and I said it'd be cool if you hear a car going by and bullets are going off. And then it goes into the story about a mother waiting for a daughter, and she realizes she ain't coming home when the cops come to the door. So all this was kind of definitely worked out. Now I'm talking, down my studio, 19, 20, million hours, night after, just working on the lyrics, working on them. And then I also decided, who do I want to play on this album? Like, I really want to get a dream team band, and I love Billy Sheehan. I think he's probably, to me, one of the greatest bass rock and roll players on the planet Earth. And I called him and I said, Billy, I'd like you to play on my new album. And he said, man, it would be an honor. And I'm like, how cool is this? And he goes, who's drumming? I said, who do you think's drumming? Don't be a wise guy. So he goes, well, just send me the drum tracks. I don't want to hear no guitars. I don't want to hear nothing else. And then Johnny and I go back. Johnny's like my son. I know Johnny now for easily probably, oh my God, 40 years.
You know John 5 that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know Johnny when he was a boy, kind of say. When he was with Marilyn Manson, I met John, which maybe he's been 30 years now or something like that. And I asked John, I said, Johnny, I'd like you to play on a couple of tracks. And he said, absolutely, man, no problem. And then, of course, I called Paul, and he said, you know, just let me know when you want me. And then my guitarist, if you listen to Michael McLaughlin, is awesome. Michael's been with me to the band Criss, and he is one amazing guitarist. He has advanced so far in his playing. He lives in Beijing, no less. Married a Chinese girl, lives in Beijing. So sending tracks back and forth were fun. But his playing, he's one of those guitar players. I really hope this album opens up the door for some up-and-coming bands that are doing work, and call him, because you couldn't get a better guitarist. If you want Jimi Hendrix, Michael, give me Jimi Hendrix, boom. You want Eric Clapton, boom. You want Eddie Van Halen, boom. You know, he could mimic or do anyone, but he's got such feel, and that's everything to me. Anything I do has got to feel is the most important thing from the heart. And Michael is just an amazing guitarist. He's on 9 tracks. Johnny's on 3. And I got my Dream Team band, and it was like, and then I got Barry Parker to produce it, who's worked with Ozzy and Johnny and Pearl, and he's young and great producer, great engineer. Oh my God, the magic he could do behind that board. And he would fly out to my house because he's in LA, so he would fly out to my studio, and then we wound up doing the vocals in another studio, but we did all the music in my studio. All the music was done there. And we had a ball. We had so much fun. We were laughing all the time. It was like the old days. It was like going back in and really having a good time and not being told what to do and where to play this and how to do that. We want this done. It was just having a good time, enjoying ourselves. And every guy who played on it was like, Peter, I'm going to do the best playing I ever did for you, man. You deserve a hit album. Out of all the band members, you're my favorite. I'm going to really break my ass for you, Billy would say, and Paul would say. And so they did. My God, they did such a great job. The bass on it is just phenomenal. I think the bass playing Billy did is wow.
I think that, I want to say it was Billy Sheehan that told me that he'd walked into the studio one day with Ray Lazier, and a track was playing, and Ray said, that sounds like Peter Criss. I can't remember if that was him or where I heard that from, but your drumming is so distinct that Ray Lazier picked it up right away. You know, Ray?
Names lately are getting distant to me as I just turned 80.
Ray's from Korn. From Korn,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure I probably definitely know him.
Yeah, he's a monster drummer. And was there any guests that you tried to get on this record that you couldn't get on for any reason?
I didn't know. This is the only guys I wanted. I heard these great. I was getting an award after Jim Keltner, who is one of my also favorite drummers in the world and a very good friend of mine, the Raven Award. And there was these backup singers, and they were dynamite. They were like really just getting ready actually to do a Bruce Springsteen album. And when they got done with the show, I said, would you guys like to do some backup on my new album? And they said, yeah, absolutely. So we got this gentleman and his wife, and then we heard this girl in Atlantic City playing this like dive kind of place. But GiGi heard her on her phone, which everything's on the phone now. I can't stand it. But she sounded, if you closed your eyes, like Janis Joplin. And I was looking for an edge on the backups. They were great, but they didn't have that really rock and roll edge. And so her name was Kat, which is ridiculous. It's crazy. So we got her to put that little edge on it. And we got into hand claps again, and we got into the backup singers really turned me on more to sing and have a better time. And so everything was really on the up chord in it. And when I listen to it every day myself, and I think it's a happy album. I think it's a good time album. And for my fans, Kiss fans, can be incredibly brutal or incredibly lovable. And I thought, I really hope they dig this one, because my last one kind of went down in flames because I really wore too many hats. I wanted to do everything myself, which is a mistake. And so I co-produced this, but I did write all the songs. I wrote all the lyrics. I did all the work, all the arrangements. And but I learned that I wasn't going to. Last time I did the arrangements. I hired this. I hired that. I went into this place. It cost me a fortune, and it didn't. The fans hated it, but I still like it. I tried to do something different. I think they expected a rock album, but it was really a ballad album, and they were not happy about that. And but this time I said, I'm going to fix their asses, and I'm going to put out a rock and roll album.
It is a rock and roll album. It's not like it's not a hard rock record.
No.
There's a little bit of 50s, 60s, 70s.
Right.
It's everything in between. And one last thing about this record, I've heard you talk about this before, but Walking on Water may be your most deeply personal track on this record. Is that true?
Yeah, I had cancer 18 years ago, breast cancer. Remember, men, I'm a big activist now. I have a big thing. Men can get breast cancer, and it's a horrible way to go. And I was at the gym, and I felt a nodule in my boob, in my nipple, and I was home. My wife was going through a cancer problem. And so I went to the doctor with her, and her doctor checked me out and said, if you were my husband, I would send you over to New York Presbyterian. She's Dr. Alex Switzel, who was a genius, the best in the biz. And I went over, and it was really strange because I'm sitting there with all these women who got scarves on their head, and you could tell they got phase 3, phase 4. And the questions were evasive. They're not for men. They were like really women stuff. And it kind of annoyed me. And I said, I'm going to try to make a change. If anybody can, a celebrity might be able to change this and let men know. 1% of men get it. That's a lot of guys a year.
Yeah,
it could
right.
be your dad or brother. And so I did a lot of television, and now I have my own association, and we raise millions of dollars every October. And I'm a Catholic, so I Catholic school, the whole thing, the nuns beating the hell out of you all the time. And so I go to church every Wednesday, and I prayed really hard for God to take it away. And I had to get 2 surgeries. Didn't lose my Italian hair. I didn't have to get chemo. I didn't have to go through any of the pain. And he saved me. And I really felt that I could walk on water. When he told me, I came to the office, and he goes, Peter, got it. It just started. I wish people would come to me when it just starts. He goes, it was just starting, so it was no big deal. I caught it immediately. And at the same time, my wife got healed. And it really made me feel closer to God. And when I walked out of the church, we live right on the ocean, and I looked at the ocean, I really felt I could walk on it because it was such a high that I realized I'm going to live. I'm not going to die a horrible death. And I have so many people. My mother died of cancer, and my uncle died of cancer. Many of my good friends, I'm sure you have friends too.
Yeah, my mother passed away of breast cancer in 1992, yeah.
It's so heavy.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I'm going to write a song about it. I'm going to write a holy song about beating cancer and how I felt about it, how I felt I could walk on water. And I'm sure many other people would agree once they beat it that they had the same, that they could walk on air. Or they could, so that's kind of what, it's a very close, near, endearing song to me.
Well, the record's fantastic, and I suggest everybody get it. Of course, I'm sure all the Kiss fans have. Now, you're signing records this weekend with at Nick's place at Rock City Music Company, and I got to imagine you probably don't go into every city days ahead of time to sign autographs, but you wanted to come here, didn't you?
Yeah, I did because I wanted to. I'm a big historian. I went to school for it, majored in it, and I wanted to go to the Ford Museum.
And you went yesterday.
Yeah, I wanted to see the Kennedy car.
Right.
I'm not being morbid, but when we went and got the Kennedy Award recently, which is I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
We were the only 5th band in the world to get it. And I went to the Lincoln Ford Theater where he was assassinated, and it fascinated me. I read all the books on him, and I wanted to see Kennedy's limousine that he was assassinated in. And then yet there was more in there. There was like this cool Corvette, a 65 Vet, man, white. I was like, can I take this car? I'll buy it from you. But then they had like great trains and planes and just the first Model T car made. So it was a really good day. I wanted to always do that. And I figured, well, I'm coming here. I'll come early. And then I got invited to go to Motown today, which I'm really excited about to go here. They're going to play Be My Baby, the original quarter-inch.
Yes.
And I remember learning on the drums that song when I was around 15. And Hal Blaine was the drummer, the great drummer back in those days. So we came early for a couple of more days, and then tomorrow I got my crew will be coming in, and tonight I'm eating dinner with Billboard, and Friday and Saturday will be maddening.
Yeah.
As always, it's always exciting. And I love meeting my fans. And it's been 25 years since I've been here, man. This is second home to Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you guys took us in like with so much love and affection when we first played the Palace and opened for Bob Seger, and then we played. And then the great thing in Cadillac was so cool that the fans were picketing the radio stations because they wouldn't play our song. And Bill said, you should go out to Cadillac and perform in their high school prom and get on the football field, and they're all going to wear your makeup. And we had such a great time with these kids. They were so happy, and they won the game, and they hadn't won one in a long time, so they won that night. We played that night. And then Flint, Michigan, we had a great experience there too. And so there's a lot of feeling with Detroit and me and Kiss and the band. And I wanted to, come back here because even when we did the reunion, when we played Tiger Stadium, man, the response was actually bigger here than it was in New York where we're from. And I couldn't believe that the people here gave us more hugs and welcomes and love, and you can feel it. It was one of my favorite shows, that opening night at Tiger Stadium here. I remember going up on the little golf thing with Gene, and the roar started getting louder and louder as we would get to the top of the arena. And Gene goes, and we sold it out in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He called me 5 a.m. I'm like, what do you want? He goes, we sold out Tiger Stadium in 40 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I remember watching the guys, and I swear Ace and Paul looked like they were dancing in air, like they weren't even touching the ground. And there's a place in my heart for Detroit. It's the only place we ever wrote a song called Detroit Rock City. There's any other city, any other place that we ever felt that close to write a song about the town. This is rock and roll. This is rock. This is Motor City, man. This is Music City. You guys got it down cold, and I was excited to come back. I feel like I'm coming back to see like an old school week.
Have you been to the monument in Cadillac? 'Cause I've never been there. I was going to go there when the 50th anniversary struck last October, and I just couldn't make it. But have you been there?
I was invited, no, and I didn't go. I was busy at the time.
Oh.
But who knows? Life is crazy. So it may be on my bucket list before. Who knows?
Now, John 5, of course, is from here. We were just talking about him, and I texted him that you were going to be in the studio, and I said, do you have a question for Peter? He says, well, I don't have a question. I have more of a comment. He goes, It's a Wonderful Life is his favorite movie, and he goes, he's lived quite a wonderful life.
He's right. Johnny's like my son. Johnny calls me probably 2-3 times a week, and I love him. I love him to death. And when I first met him, my roadie said, John 5 wants to meet you. We were recording at Baby O in L.A., and he's a child. He's so young. It was so long ago. And my roadie told him my favorite movie in the world, It's a Wonderful Life. And so when we met, he bought it for me in a Christmas packet. It was all wrapped up in a Christmas thing. And he gave it to me, and it really touched my heart. I couldn't believe, of all movies, he gives me It's a Wonderful Life. So every Christmas on my birthday on the 20th, I put Johnny's Wonderful Life on. And I love him. He's a great, we all know, dynamite guitarist. But Johnny's personality is always the same. It's always mellow. It's always positive. He's got this great kind of way about him. I love John, and I was happy to have him on the album. I was happy he played at least 3 songs on it.
And he is so good.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Like, watching him is like, wow.
Yeah. When we walked in here, I showed you that picture in the hallway. It's 50 years ago, 1976. And Kiss, man, a lot of history here in Detroit Rock City. And, I mean, we didn't just put that picture out. That picture's been there on that wall for 20 years.
I believe you. I believe you. It was nice to see just me and Gene. Yeah. But, I can't believe where the time goes, my friend. It just goes so fast. And now that I have turned 80, and I still feel like I'm still 15 in my heart and my brain, but my body ain't. I mean, I've had major surgeries over the years from playing, and so I kind of I can't tour. It's too much on my body to tour. I got major arthritis problems, but I still play. I still play every day down my studio. I'll drum and still play. But still, again, this place has a special feeling. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, like I said, it's like coming back to my prom or something. And I have a feeling I'm going to see a lot of people. I often wonder the back cover of Alive, where those kids were holding the big banner.
Yeah.
They've got to be gray haired like me now. So I'm hoping that they show up.
That would be awesome if they showed up, especially with that sign. That would be something.
Yeah, I often wonder what that is. There's so much. That was such a great night. We recorded the Alive album, which was really a finally breakthrough, because all our earlier albums, Dressed to Kill, Hotter Than Hell, the producers then, because I don't want to mention names, it's not cool, just couldn't get the sound that we would play on stage, and we could hear the sound we had. Mm-hmm. But when we would go in the studio and then finish the record, it was like, that's not the sound. That's not the sound. And one of my favorite producers, Eddie Kramer, who said he was going to produce the Alive, and we were going to do it live here first at Cobo Hall, which was like, wow. And my drum solo was a keeper, like, because when you do a live album, I don't know if a lot of people realize you got to redo a lot of stuff. Sadly enough, some kids think, wow, they did the whole album that night. There's leakage, the harmonies are off, some of the guitar parts maybe aren't right, the timing gets up and down. But my drum solo, which has become quite popular, stayed. That night I just got so into it, I closed my eyes and I just went away. And Eddie put all that crazy flanger stuff on it and all that. And I ran back to the trailer when we were done. I said, so how did it sound? He goes, you're going to love it, mate. It came out really good. And it opened the whole door for the band. Finally, everybody got it, that this is what we sound like. And then we did 2, and it went double platinum immediately. And it just got us a whole different, the right audience, the right sound that we wanted.
Yeah, back in the 70s, it's like a live record could do that, like with Peter Frampton and whatnot.
Right.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, and maybe you've heard this before, maybe this is a rumor, but is Chad Smith somewhere in the crowd on the back of that album from the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
I wouldn't know, but I know Chad well. I love him. I think he's a sweetheart. And who knows? I don't know who's in the audience.
Yeah, because I thought I heard that before, that he was there. And of course, he's
possible.
From here.
It's possible.
Yeah, and then just the fact that you guys played that sold out arena. Then where were you playing at the time? You guys were playing like theaters or whatever.
Yeah, 500 seaters, maybe 700-800 seaters. We were nothing like that. Cobo Hall to us was like coming to play Madison Square Garden.
Right. Yeah.
Your Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And the promoter then, Steve, was such a sweet guy, and it sold out immediately. We couldn't get over that. And we wanted to play her so bad because, again, I love the Michigan Palace. So we had some great times playing there, and great sound, great old hall. But now we were going to play, Cobo Hall, man. It was like, this is like, it's going to be really big. Mm-hmm. And we're recording it live. We're making a live album in Detroit. Of all cities, we didn't do it in New York. We picked here, which was I'm glad we did, perfect choice. And it was just magic. It was exciting. The audience they gave us so much vibes of excitement and love, and they were so happy to see us again, especially on a reunion. They were so happy when we came back here. I couldn't get over the like, wow, they're back. The boys are back in town, kind of.
Yeah, and people may or may not know, but the album cover for Alive was actually shot at the Michigan Palace, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why didn't you guys go with the picture from Cobo? I just couldn't find one, or it wasn't in the cards?
I guess it wasn't in the cards.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you come back, like you said, all those years later, you do that acoustic. The MTV thing was huge for people that don't know. Back in the 90s, that Unplugged series was huge. And UNA showed up and played, and then that kind of started everything all over again, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's funny. We were on a tour, on our own tour. Ace and I it was called the Bad Boys Tour. And so we were touring together. And it was hard times. It was, it wasn't, we weren't playing stadiums. We were playing like 500 seaters, and we were missing it. We were really missing the life. And they too weren't doing great. They were playing like these, what do you call them? Like I'm doing tomorrow, just conventions. They were playing KISS conventions. Mm-hmm. So they were also not in a position where they used to love to be in that position.
And this was during the grunge era.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when we got together and rehearsed, I looked at Gene's eyes, and all I saw was ka-ching, 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 rolling around in his eyeballs when I did Hard Luck Woman. And I went, I got a vibe here. And I realized we still sounded amazing. We still sounded so good. The magic was still there. And I remember the funny thing is when they were booing Eric and Bruce, and Ace was like, shut up, they're part of the family. And the fans all of a sudden didn't want them guys. They wanted the band back. And then 2 weeks later, I was on tour with my band in Canada somewhere, and I got a call from Doc McGee, and he said, we want to put the band back. We want to go back out on a reunion tour. And I already know for a fact it's sold out for 2 years. You're already sold out 2 years, and it's going to be around the world twice. I own jet, all the perks, all the good stuff. And I said, you're kidding me. So I had to work hard. I had to relearn all the Kiss stuff that I haven't played in 17 years. I would get up in the morning and go to the gym. We took it real serious. So I had to go to the gym every day to get in shape again, which I was in shape, but really get in shape. And then I would go and have a drum coach. We'd work out for an hour. Then I'd go sound. Then we would go to rehearsal. And then I'd go home and watch old Kiss movies, like back in the day stuff, to relearn kind of the movements and the way we were on stage. And so it was like a lot of work, man, but it was worth it. And when we finally were getting ready to do it, we looked in the mirror the day we went on the Intrepid to announce it. It was like time stood still. We looked the same. Nobody, looked like we were ageless. We still looked like in our 20s, and we just looked at one another and said, this is going to be so good. And we got on the Intrepid, and there was 1 million photographers from all over the world snapping pictures, and we just knew we were going to be on the ride of our life. We knew it was just going to be a great. And then I stayed with them for another 8 years, and then it again got crazy. As it always in bands, sometimes you can't change the spots on a leopard, especially with certain members in the band. And so Ace and I kind of ducked out again and said, I just don't want a part of this anymore. And but for those 8 years with the Psycho Circus tour and the other stuff and all, it was good. It was good. I was back in stadium. My life is back where it belongs. I got a beautiful home. I got a great wife. I got my 3 cats. I got, everything's, I couldn't ask for more. And so my new album's doing really well. And I'm on this kind of signing tour, meeting the fans again. And the reaction is really high on it. And I got 2 shows in Jersey after this sold out. And I think I got 1 in Vegas. And then I'm enjoying my swimming pool and for the summer, and I'm going to take it easy. And I'm working on another project, but I can't talk about it. So
yeah, I forgot all about the Intrepid thing. That's great. I was walking in and I showed you that picture of you guys on the wall, and it's funny because I told you, I said Frank Bello, Dave Ellefson, and Bumblefoot one day they came to the stage, they stopped there and they just stared at it, and David just texted me. He said, asked him something about composing the drum solo from a Kiss Alive, but we just talked about that. But what does it mean? There's some bands I talk to, and it's like they're like maybe older bands. They're like, we got into music when we saw the Beatles and Ed Sullivan. But there are so many bands I talk to, especially bands from 45 and on. You guys were the band. What does that mean to you?
Well, same thing with us. I remember Sunday when the Beatles came to America. Everybody was in front of the TV. Ed Sullivan, they were on. It was like, who are these guys? They're so cool. They're all dressed in these suits, and they're like, Paul playing lefty, George playing righty, and it was it was like perfect when they stood together, did harmonies. The guitars were not in the way, but they had a sound. They had a certain, and their lyrics were so simple but so real and so true. I mean, they're like my little Bible. When I get into sometimes trouble, I'll think of lyrics from Lennon, or I'll think of some McCartney lyrics for George. George was my favorite Beatle. And it just kind of changed. They changed the world, and they changed us. And we went a week later after we went to see Alice, and who I love, another good friend of mine. And he was performing at the Garden, and we were sitting in the back. And he came on, and Ace and Paul ran to the front of the stage like groupies. And they're, up front looking at him. So later on, we went back to our loft, which was a piece of shit. It was like this little room that had no heat. We had to play in our overcoats, and we paid our dues. We put milk crates on the wall to deaden the sound, and we thought about it. We came up, what would it be like if 4 guys wore the makeup? Because the band didn't wear the makeup, and we thought, but let's take the approach like the Beatles. Let's take it like, Ringo has his fans, Paul has his Paul fans, George has his George fans, John has his John fans, yet they still have the band fans, but they have this still separation of love between all 4 of them. And we thought, what if we use that kind of idea and put it together? And then back then the New York Dolls were in New York City, and the bands were, changing with makeup, but we put it on at one point, and we looked like transvestites. Like we looked like old prostitutes that hung out on the corner of 42nd Street, especially Gene. He did not look good with lipstick and a little Donna over here. And Ace looked like Shirley MacLaine. We were like, this is not going to work. We're not. The Dolls are these little skinny little guys. And Jerry Nolan was my dearest best friend. We grew up together, and he was the drummer. And so we thought, okay, let's think about our personalities. And Gene was totally the monster. We all know that. Hands down, Gene is the monster. And Paulie is definitely the star center stage. Hands down, Paul is the rock star. And Ace, comes up with this, I'm from another planet, which I really believe that now. And I miss him dearly.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were very close, Ace and I. As you know, there was always Gene and Paul, Peter and Ace. And I was with him. At the end, I got to hold his hand and kiss him goodbye, and the priest used my holy water and my rosaries on his deathbed, and I watched when they pulled the plug, and a few seconds he was gone, and it was, and I'm still not over it. And so, because I was a very big piece of the family, I watched his daughter born. He watched her, his wife's godmother to my daughter. And we used to live close, so we used to have barbecues at his house. Him and I'd go to ball games. We'd go fishing. Like normal things. I don't know about what the other 2 were doing, but that's what we were doing.
Right.
We were living the life of rock stars. We were having a damn good time, great time, drinking a lot of beer, having really good times. And it was devastating to think my wife now hold a banister that you could fall down a flight of stairs and crack your head open and die. So he never knew what hit him, thank God. He never even knew what went on when he passed. But the idea worked out, and I love cats. I have a whole thing about tigers and lions. I just love their attitude, that they're so beautiful, especially the Bengals, the little baby Bengals when they're born, the white ones.
Yeah, right.
You want to kind of snuggle up with one and hold them. That's why I have 3 cats. And I thought I have a lot of the same personality. That I could be incredibly lovable. You could pet me, but I could turn on you in a heartbeat and scratch your eyes right out of your head with my temper. And so I was sketching myself one day at home, and I brought it into the guys with a cat face on me. And I said, so what do you think of this character? And they went, spot perfect, Peter. This is you. You're an animal. You really are. You're the drummer. You're perfect. Couldn't be a perfect character. And that's how it formed. The next thing, it did work out that way. We did get Gene fans and Paul fans and fans for the band. We had the most loyalist, dedicated, fanatical fans on the planet
Still.
Earth. I mean, till today, when I do these sign-ins, 10-year-old little boys and girls come in with my makeup on. I'll meet these 60-year-old guys down. They've been waiting all their life to get my solo album signed or an original Kiss, First Kiss album signed. And most rock stars don't get that joy. I say they should go out and do more of it. Because when you're up on stage, all you see is little faces.
Right.
You don't know who's out there. But when you do these things, I'm like where you are, and you're right where I am. And I give you an autograph, and eventually I take pictures also with the fans. And you tell me, GiGi, you'll say, tell him what what do you want to know from Peter? I'm sure there's something you want to ask him. And it'll be some of the craziest stuff that I've ever heard in my life will come out. But then some really endearing, like major endearing stuff that it actually, some nights when I finished it, it was hard to go to sleep. It was so close to the heart. So like one kid wanted to commit suicide. One girl wanted to do that. Another gentleman was going off to war, and his father was an asshole. Can I say that?
Yep.
And so he needed love. He needed a hug. He needed a man. And so his mom said, he's really going to leave tomorrow. He's going to go to Iraq. And so I cleared the room out. I said, I want everybody out of my room. And I held him, and I could feel it. And he broke down crying, and I was holding him in my arms. And he said, thank you so much, Peter. I really needed that. I said, I know. I could tell. And so that night I couldn't sleep because I felt like I'm not a priest, man. I'm a rock and roll musician, but I got to really get close to my fans that nobody ever will get that close. I even say to the guys sometimes, you should do a lot more of these things. The fans love it. It's a lot of fun. You get to sit there and, sign your autograph and take pictures, and you make a lot of money and you have a good time. We're so blessed that we could do that. And I could be out digging a fucking ditch,
right?
Or working as a plumber's assistant. Or God's given me such a great gift. And again, our fans after 53 years are still with us. They're still loyal. My site still gets thousands of fans still keep in touch with me of all kinds of problems. I'll get stuff from guys in Iraq and Iran, and I got your book. I just read it, and it was really cool. And boy, have you had a hell of a life.
Yeah.
And so it's a cool thing. And I'm glad we picked this is coming up. I'm glad my wife said, you got to do Detroit with this new album. It's going to be exciting.
As Lizzie Hale told me one time, probably a friend of yours too, Ronnie James Dio, said you might not remember their names, their faces, but they'll always remember meeting you. And I guess that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, well, yeah. God bless Ronnie, man.
Yeah.
There was a guy who had some serious pipes.
Oh, my God.
When he would especially taking Ozzy's place on certain things. But, yeah, it's like just a lot of musicians don't go out and really meet the people that made us wealthy and fulfilled our dreams and made us become the people we wanted to become in life and have nice cars and have a few bucks in our pocket and live the life that we wanted to always live and not go to a 9 to 5 and get stuck in a cubicle, get stuck behind a set of drums for 2 hours and play for 70, 80,000 people a night. There's nothing like it. And the fans need to be, if not for them, we wouldn't have gotten the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they got to vote you in. That was a rush.
Yeah.
But when I got called from the Kennedy Senate, I'm going to meet the president. I'm going to be in the Oval Office, and I'm going to shake his hand, and he's going to give us these amazing medals with Sylvester Stallone and George Strait and Gloria Gaynor. It was a rush, man. That week was like, and we were told just, I know that the Eagles got in, U2, I think, Jerry Garcia, and Led Zeppelin.
That was just the 5, okay.
And we're the 5th band.
Wow.
And we got in more for culture and making bands today blow up the stage and wear makeup and kind of be what they want to be and not be restricted to kind of like when you back in the day you would go see a band and it would just they'd stand there and kind of sound like the Wreck-It. We were an event. You came to see us. When you left, it was like, what was that? What guy spitting fire or a drummer levitating 60 feet or a guy shooting rockets from his guitar. There was nothing like it, and there was no rules. We wouldn't take rules. We did everything out the way we wanted to do it. And that message, I think today, the new band, a lot of the bands, I see a lot of me in a lot of bands.
Yeah, right.
Even country western, I'll watch, Garth Brooks or bands like, and they're blowing up the stage and they're carrying on or they're flying through the air, and I'm like, wow, if not for us, they wouldn't be doing that.
You influenced a generation and then some. But, well, Peter, I could talk to you for hours, of course, but I want you to go see the museum. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm not even the biggest Motown fan, and I thought it was fascinating. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you think about that.
Well, Motown, when Motown came in, I don't know if you realize, but it really changed the world. There was no music like it. I'm a big Aretha Franklin fan, Sam and Dave, Marvin Gaye, James Brown. There was nothing like seeing James Brown live, or the Isley Brothers, or Martha and the Vandellas, or all these bands were really big in Brooklyn and in New York. That was the sound, and you could dance to it. And I always feel my idol Gene Krupa. The reason why I play drums is he once made a quote that if you're not dancing to me, I'm not doing my job. And I used to feel that way with the band. If you can't dance to my drums, then I'm not doing my job. And you definitely dance to Motown.
And they had that awesome bass player, James Jamerson.
Yeah,
Oh,
talk about great musicians, and it's a really living legend place. I mean, like Barry Gordy really and Smokey Robinson really they ruled the world and they still kind of rule the world for a long time.
Yeah.
But now we got hip hop and rap, and I'm not going to mention anything about that. But that's what we have now in the world.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for coming
Thank
in.
you. This was great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. You're really cool. This is really cool. I'm glad we did it, and I appreciate it. God bless you. Thank you.
That was so cool. I've never had a chance to meet Peter Criss or talk to him or anything, so I was super excited. And just a couple of side notes. As we left the studio here where I'm interviewing, I went and introduced him to Jade here at work, and also Danielle Flynn, Donnie from 94.7 WCSX was in her office. And Donnie didn't know that Peter was going to be here. And when I kind of interrupted their conversation, standing next to Peter Criss, the look on her face was, oh, my God. Meanwhile, Rock and Roll All Night is playing in the speakers overhead. It's like his walk-up music almost. It was really cool. And then one of the other guys here at work I totally forgot to tell about. And I'm just like, hey, maybe he'd want to meet him. So I went and grabbed my friend Ben, who I also work with. And the look on his face when he saw Peter was, I mean, I can't even explain it. He was completely blown away. I didn't realize what a huge Kiss fan Ben was. And he actually came down and thanked me afterwards, shook my hand, said, oh, my God, I can't believe it. He's met all the guys from Kiss except for Peter. So really cool to see Peter right here in the station. I got to thank his wife, by the way, GiGi. She was awesome. And it was really her idea. And she's like, I think people get a kick out of seeing Peter in the radio station. And that they did. There's no question about that.
This message comes from Capital One Commercial Bank. Your business requires commercial banking solutions that prioritize your long-term success. With Capital One, get a full suite of financial products and services tailored to meet your needs today and goals for tomorrow. Learn more at CapitalOne.com/commercial. Member FDIC.
Spencer Charnas was nice enough to come by the radio station as well, and that was a couple weeks ago. Here's my conversation with Spencer, which you can watch on YouTube. Hey, it's Meltdown here in the studio. I got my special horror movie t-shirt on because I have a special guest. Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills was nice enough to come in studio and join us. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
So what was the last... I wanted to ask you about all this stuff when we were walking up here, but I'm going to ask you now since the cameras are on. What's the last horror movie you saw in a theater?
Last horror movie I saw in the theater was Ready or Not 2 that just came out. Amazing movie. I loved the first one. And Grave Digger, my father's band from the 80s, actually did the song for Ready or Not 2. And Ice Nine Kills did a cover version of it. So it was fantastic. It was that and Scream 7.
Right.
Both songs, both movies, rather, we had a song in. So
yeah, that was the last one I saw, too. I actually just saw it, like, I don't know, Monday or something. But... I just watched They're Gonna Kill You. Was that They Will Kill You? Have you seen that one yet?
No, I haven't seen that one.
That one's pretty wild. Dolly.
I heard good things about Dolly. Someone just told me about it.
Yeah, that was a wild one, too. I thought that was pretty decent. My favorite movie this year, though, was Send Help. Have you seen that?
I haven't. I know it's Raimi. It's the Evil Dead guy.
Yeah.
I heard it was fantastic.
And also, I thought that the new 28 Years Later was good. There's a scene in there where they use the entire song from Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast, which is one of the most amazing rock scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
The last one I saw was the one that came out about a year ago. A lot of male nudity.
Right. There's the same in this one. Yeah.
Same in this one, yeah. So I'll be going back. I'm going to go there right after this interview then.
Well, this movie starts right where that one left off.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
It ends right on the male nudity, and then it starts right there.
Well, kind of, sort of, yeah, with all the zombies.
With the zombies, yeah. I love the original. 28 Days Later was incredible.
Yeah. So let's talk about this Grave Digger thing. Hell or High Slaughter from the Ready or Not 2. I saw the video. I mean, I couldn't quite place it. It's reminiscent of something.
You know, it's funny. My dad and I have been estranged for quite some time, but I think music has always been in my blood because of Grave Digger and what he did for that scene. They don't always get the credit. A lot of people talk about.
They don't get any credit.
Well, they're starting to now.
Right.
But people talk about Motley Crue and Poison, but it was really Gravedigger that put that scene on the map for me. And the documentary that we're working on right now, we're putting it together with some of the guys that did Super Troopers, the Broken Lizard crew, and they're big Diggler heads, And I think, a lot of stuff is going to come to light, and it's very exciting. We're getting great interviews. I just met with Bobby Brown from the Cherry Pie video couple weeks ago. And there's a lot of exciting stuff coming in the Gravedigger world, so be on the lookout for it.
I always thought that Danger Kitty was really the band that put that music on the map. Do you remember them?
No, I don't listen to German music usually. No.
The Scorpions didn't do anything for you then?
No, well, you know what? They're the exception. Them and Rammstein.
They're the exception, okay.
And whoever sang 99 Red Balloons, I did like that song.
Yeah. What was her name?
Well, Goldfinger did a great cover of it, but the original was by...
Nina, okay.
Nina
I knew there was a double letter in there somewhere, like Lulu or Nina, right.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So that's awesome. Yeah, and then the video, it's funny because I did read a Chelsea Rebecca, I guess, from this Dead Meat. She said there was, as far as the not safe for work video, she said there was too many boobs. I just can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't wrap your head around boobs too much unless you're in a Gravedigger video. But yeah, she was very offended by it. She's a lovely lady. We're friends with her and her husband, Dead Meat James. They do these great kill count videos on YouTube. But yeah, she wasn't really a fan of the Diggler. You know what? The Diggler's not for everybody.
Not for everybody.
It's not
right.
for everybody.
No.
It's not for the faint of heart.
Right, exactly. I love in the one trailer, I didn't realize this, but they were you talk about how they were really at the center of it all. And they did the Pentagon, the pentagram drawing.
The Pentagon
one too, but the pentagram one was really the one that I really noticed. But yeah, that was quite something actually.
Yeah, they drew the map, and a lot of people consider them the cartographers of hair metal.
Cartographers, that's right.
Yeah. Matt Pinfield went on a whole rant about. He's a huge Diggler fan. If you know Matt,
I do. Yeah.
He won't shut up about them. Frankly, he just texted me again.
Yeah, you can never get that guy to stop texting.
He's the best.
So Scream 7, yeah, Twisted the Knife was used in that one. I have to admit, I wasn't a fan of that movie, but I did like the song being used at the end of it and stuff. But
thank you so much. Yeah, I've been a big Scream fan since I was a little kid. It was the first slasher movie I saw in the theater. And it blew my mind. I've been a huge fan ever since. And I really liked the new one. I thought that it really paid tribute to all the ones that came before it, but it was darker. And, the movies, as they went on progressively, it was more meta. And it got a little bit of a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And this one, I feel like, was just a hardened, cold slasher movie, and that's why I really liked it. I wasn't looking for Citizen Kane. I was looking for Ghostface to come and cut up a bunch of people.
One of the best slasher movies I saw last year, maybe one of the goofier ones, was The Monkey. I thought that one was great. Did you see that movie?
I did see that movie. I actually interviewed Oz Perkins, who directed it. I hosted a screening of it, and I got to interview him. He's a fascinating guy. His father was Anthony Perkins from Psycho, and I thought it was a great movie. To me, my favorite things ever are horror and comedy, and when you can blend them perfectly, that's the best kind of film. Yeah,
when somebody said, or I read somewhere, that the kills were reminiscent of Ren and Stimpy, I thought, that's it. Right there.
Right. It's sort of almost a cartoonish kind of killing spree, but it was cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
The last scene on the school bus and whatnot. We'll leave it for everybody else to see. But I thought that movie was great. And of course, with Ice Nine Kills Nat and your videos, I mean, I think I've talked to you about this before, but your videos, I mean, it's kind of silly to say when you say it out loud, but they are short movies. And I mean, that's kind of what you're into. You're like a cinematic, theatrical kind of guy.
My two greatest loves have always been music and film, and the fact that we get to sort of blend those worlds, and I get to pretend I'm a director, a writer, an actor. It's a ton of fun, and I hope that we keep getting to do these things for a long time, and we're working on our own film. So
tell me about that. I have that written down as well. So what's going on with that?
So I brought up my Super Troopers friends a little while ago, Paul Soter. He's the Meow guy.
Yeah.
Listen, Meow. Him and I became friends at a convention. And we hit it off, and I had this idea for a slasher movie. And you think about the 80s slashers, and a lot of people say that Michael Myers and Jason and Freddy, really these guys are the hands of God coming down to punish these kids for their sins. And I always thought, well, that's cool, but there's never been a slasher movie where someone dressed as Jesus or Jesus was the murderer. So I told my family this idea, and they said, you're absolutely an idiot for thinking of this. But we wrote this script, and Greg Nicotero, who he was very pivotal on the success of The Walking Dead, and executive produced that and directed many episodes, and formed K&B Special Effects, which has done everything from all the Tarantino movies to Scream. He got a hold of the script and he said, I love this, I want to produce it. So we're making this movie, and we're very excited about it.
So when does that start to film or whatever?
We're in pre-production right now. We're location scouting, and I hope to have it out maybe a couple Easters from now.
The Slashing of Christ.
The Slashing of the Christ.
That's right. And it's funny because I can't think of many Easter movies. Thanksgiving movies as well, like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles were my favorite, but then Thanksgiving came out.
Right.
And that's kind of like a little bit Screamish, I suppose. But and then of course, Art the Clown comes out. Now we got a Christmas classic.
Right. I mean, Christmas horror has been a favorite subgenre of mine for a long time. You go back to Black Christmas, which was a movie that came out even before Halloween and was actually really influential to Halloween. If you go back and watch that movie, you're in the killer's point of view, POV. So that one was very influential. And then Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yes.
Incredible. And at Astronomicon, where I'm going to be this weekend, which is a horror convention, pop culture convention, the killers from Silent Night, Deadly Night will be there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Eric Freeman and Robert Brian Wilson.
And speaking of from the killer's point of view, did you see In a Violent Nature last year?
I did. I saw part of it. I thought it was really cool, that one kill where he puts the woman's head through her own chest.
The kills were unbelievable.
Yeah. It was a novel idea for film.
It was slow, but it was wild.
I think that I guess that was the point, right? That you've never seen a slasher movie from their perspective. What do they do what does Michael Myers do when he's not, putting a sheet over his head and killing a woman or hiding in a backseat of the car? You kind of see what Jason or Michael would be doing in the interim.
Now, to me, some of the scariest movies that I've seen are stuff that can really happen, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I know this is kind of probably in the horror world, maybe a little bit of a hack, but it's like that to me really just epitomizes the scariness. Like some of the Rob Zombie movies, especially the first two. What are some of your favorites? Like Freddy's like nightmare stuff, and it's like I don't know if that could really happen. Of course, those movies are very entertaining.
Ones that feel real, you mean?
Yeah.
When I saw the Blair Witch Project, I saw it in the theater. I guess I was probably like 12 or something, and the word on the street is that you didn't know if it was real or not because the marketing of that film was so brilliant. They did like a documentary on like a legitimate channel like History Channel or something the weekend before the movie came out, which talked about this legend of the Blair Witch as if it was real, and as if these three hikers or documentarians rather went missing. So when we saw it, I saw it at summer camp with my friends. I was like, is this friggin' real? And it was terrifying.
Yeah, that's the found footage type films. Then I saw that movie in the theater myself at the packed theater, and then it ends, and everyone's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah,
like nobody knew what was happening.
It was great. It was kind of like one of those things where your imagination can come up with something scarier than whatever the craziest special effects guys can produce, and it was that mixed with the marketing of it that was really unsettling.
Yeah, that was a great movie. So let's talk about music here a little bit. You did all those tours with Metallica. Looking back on that, tell me some of your thoughts about touring with a band like that. I mean, that must have been incredible.
It was amazing, man. If you go back to my love of music since I was a little kid, you got Nirvana and you got Metallica, and those were two of like the bands that really got me into wanting to play guitar and wanting to learn how to play, either Smells Like Teen Spirit or Master Puppets or something like that. So I'd always been a huge fan of theirs. I went to see them in '97. with my dad. We went to the Boston Garden on I think it was probably must have been one of the Load album cycles.
Yeah, it was Load, yeah.
Yeah, concert blew my mind. I can close my eyes and visualize being there. I remember it so vividly.
That was the one where the stage fell apart?
That was the one where it was still the circular stage, but there was something happened where a crew member fell down and was on fire or something, and you didn't know if it was real or not. And it's kind of funny because I went to that show not too far after I went to see Scream. So it was my love of horror being birthed as well as my love of metal. So getting the call to do that, the first show in Vegas, which was just one show at Allegiant, if it all ended there, it would have been incredible. And then just getting the call more and more and more, and then to do the full world tour was incredible. The band and the crew and the whole team treated us great. And it was, some of the most incredible experiences of my life.
How many shows did you open for them? Do you remember?
Man,
do you recall?
It's got to be in the neighborhood of 50 or something.
Okay, wow.
All over the world.
I just talked to James Keenan the other day, and he's a self-admitted self-doubter, right? And I said, "Do you ever get stage fright?" He goes, "I'm terrified." Do you ever get stage fright?
Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's not the biggest shows that give you stage fright, but sometimes the smaller, intimate ones when you're used to playing in stadiums or arenas, and then you go to a smaller one, you're like, I'm kind of a little nervous. But once the first song kicks in and kids are singing the words, you forget all about it.
Yeah, it's like getting that first hit when you're playing sports or something. But you're right, because when you go in, I've been on stage, not obviously what you do, but when you go on stage, you talk to a massive crowd. It's faceless.
Right.
And when you talk to a crowd where you can see everybody, it's more scary.
Absolutely, it's interesting how that works. But it took us a little while to get our sea legs, especially with a stage like that. That's so unusual. It's like a big donut. Right. And
were you allowed to use all of it?
Yeah, they let us do whatever we wanted, basically. And I think the first few times I was like, man, I'm getting winded. I'm trying to run around this thing because you're at a stadium. You're like, wow, I got to really put on this show. There's so many people here. I got to work 150% of my energy. But what you realize is, the video monitors, when you're in that large scale of a venue, they do a lot of the work for you.
I was going to say, yeah.
So you don't have to run around like a crazy person. Smaller steps and, can sometimes play bigger on camera.
It's just feeling it out. Did the guys from Metallica give you any advice, or did you just kind of go to your shows? And
I remember talking to James one of the first days. You guys figure out how to use the stage yet? I was like, not really. He's like, yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But yeah, they're pros, and they still sound and put on such a fantastic show.
I have to imagine if James said, what would be a good idea? Go up there, stick pencils in your ears, and just run around like a chicken. You'd probably go, that's a great idea, James.
I probably would.
Right, because he knows.
He knows. I'll follow that guy to the end of the earth.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, that must have been a great tour. I think I saw you guys, of course, here. Then I saw you in Pittsburgh as well. Right,
with
Greta?
At the baseball field, right? Yeah. Where the Pirates play?
I was at that show, and I'm trying to remember if I saw that. Did you guys play the Buffalo show, too?
Yep.
Yeah, that was right before the Pittsburgh one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's right.
So I saw an interview recently. So you consider yourself a perfectionist?
I would say so, probably to an annoying degree, as most perfectionists are. That usually comes down to notes for producers for songs, or when I'm editing our videos. I consider myself a perfectionist.
Do you think it's because you're so cinematic, and you got this theatrical kind of tinge, and you know what you want in your head? Yeah,
I think I'm the only things I'm a perfectionist with are work. You know what I mean? If I'm making an egg, it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be very messy, the yolk everywhere. But if you're editing a video or working on this Gravedigger documentary or Twisting the Knife, I'm very meticulous about every cue has to be right. This sound isn't right. We need a different take here. Yeah, so.
And so as far so that's with the Gravedigger. But Ice Nine Kills. Where's that stand right now? What do you got going on?
We're working on a lot of new music. We just released 2 songs in the last 6 weeks with Twisting the Knife, and and Hell or High Slaughter with Grave Diggler. Working on a bunch of new songs, getting ready to go out on the road, doing a bunch of the festivals. This
you could be doing the Danny Wimmer stuff.
Danny Wimmer stuff. We always love doing that guy's festivals. He's great. And then we're out in June all over Europe doing those festivals, like, Download Fest and a bunch of headlining stuff. And then August, we're going out on some other shows haven't been announced yet. Then September, we're in Australia with Electric Callboy, which should be pretty cool, playing arenas over there.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, Spencer, last thing here for you, and we'll cut you loose. We appreciate all your time and, of course, all your great work. Like I said, I'm a fan. And George knows about this because he was with us. But have you ever had a paranormal experience? Because I did with the guys from A Funeral Portrait. I'll play you the video, later when we're done. But it was insane. Go ahead.
So the one thing that I can remember, as I said, I'm a huge Nirvana fan, and my girlfriend and I were we're in Seattle. I think actually we might have been when we were playing with Metallica in Seattle, and we checked out Kurt Cobain's house. He lives in right on the lake, beautiful area, and there's a park bench next to his house that's kind of become like a unofficial memorial for him. People drop off notes and stuff, and I dropped off a guitar pick, and I was recording with my phone. I was recording just the lawn, and something really strange happened with the recording of the video. It went like it kind of like glitched out, and I went back and I paused it, and to me, and maybe I'm crazy and I'm reading into it, but when I paused it, I saw like a figure when I paused the video, and I'll show you after. Okay. It looked like the Grim Reaper to me, and it could have just obviously just been me being an idiot. But
did you ever post it online for people to?
No, I never even really talked about it. But I don't know. I like to think it was Kurt saying, "Hey, how are you?" Because I'm just such an admirer of his, and I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking about music if it wasn't for Kurt and Nirvana.
Was that your gateway?
Absolutely. I saw Smells Like Teen Spirit video. I was like, I want to do that. I want to be that guy.
That's so funny because we were walking in here. I told you the first video I ever saw was Rat Round and Round, and Nick got Piercy, talking about Grave Diggler and how he was inspired by them.
He wasn't really inspired by them, Steven. Rat's a fantastic band. I think Rat and Steven and my dad Sonny, they butted heads. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, we'll leave it at that. Spencer, good luck with everything here with the Ice Nine Kills. And from Boston, when we get off, I'll have to tell you about my trip to Salem last year.
Oh, nice, man. Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for playing the songs. We appreciate it.
Man, that one's going to be hard to top. Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills and the legendary Peter Criss on Talkin' Rock. Two great artists, one legend, one non-award-winning podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the show this week. And I've got some more irons in the fire coming up. But, man, how about that? Peter Criss in studio. That was awesome. You can check out my pictures, by the way, at Meltdown WRIF, Meltdown Rocks on X and Insta and Facebook as well. So lots of stuff on there. But yeah, that was really cool. I'm still trying to kind of, I don't know, put this in words, but it's really difficult. But yeah, once again, got to thank his wife GiGi and my friend Photo Joe for taking good care of Peter, bringing him down here, and he was awesome here at the radio station.
Thank you for listening to Talkin' Rock with Meltdown. You can help this podcast grow by giving it a 5-star rating and writing a review on Apple and iTunes. Plus, feel free to subscribe and share it with your friends. Until next time, thanks for listening to Talkin' Rock.
Brought to you by the Capital One Savor Card. With Savor, you earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining, entertainment, and at grocery stores. That's unlimited cash back on ordering takeout from home, or unlimited cash back on tickets to concerts and games. So grab a bite, grab a seat, and earn unlimited 3% cash back with the Savor Card. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.